Hello everybody, I'm back in the kitchen finally, and today I'm making a lemon meringue pie using lemons that I grew this winter. So first things first, I'm going to mix up the dough for the pie crust, and then I'll stick it in the fridge and let it cool a little bit before I roll it out. And then I'm gonna go outside and take Stinker on a walk because she's sitting here giving me the stink eye. We're anxious, both of us, to go outside and play for a little bit. So since I'm in a little bit of a hurry today, I am not going to use my pastry cutter. You can use these and work the butter into the flour by hand. It takes a little longer, but it's a good exercise, good little arm workout for you. But since we're so anxious to get outside, I'm actually just going to use my food processor. So I've already cut up my butter into small little pieces to make it easier to work into the flour. So I've got 6 tablespoons of butter. So I'm just going to dump it in my food processor. And then I need another couple of tablespoons of some sort of solid fat. So I've got a little bit of lard that I rendered myself from our hog that we bought last year. So I'm just throwing those in as well, those 2 tablespoons. I've got 1.5 cups of flour. This just happens to be whole wheat flour because that's all I have left in my pantry. Note to self, go pick up some more flour. But you can use all-purpose flour, you can use plain white flour. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna kind of spread it around the bowl of the food processor. And then we're just gonna put in a little dash of salt. Not much, 1/4 teaspoon at most. And then I'm gonna put my lid on. I'm gonna pulse this up just until it combines and it looks a little bit like fine sand. And then we're gonna add some ice water. So it doesn't take very long. Okay, this is all looking nice and sandy. So anywhere between 3 to 4 tablespoons of water should do for this. Since this is whole wheat flour, it might take a little more. We'll just see. So I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon at a time. I'm gonna give it just a little spin. Starting to come together, starting to look more like wet sand now, but I still need some more water. So this is 4 tablespoons. And you want to be really careful in your food processor doing this, because if you over process it, you'll start to develop the gluten in the flour, and then your pie crust is going to become chewy and not flaky. And you really want a flaky pie crust, not a chewy pie crust. I'm going to need a little bit more water, so I'm going to do another full tablespoon. Living on the dangerous side. It's getting close. I'm going to add another 1/2 tablespoon. No, I'm not. I'm going to do a full tablespoon. Yeah. So now it's starting to come together into these bigger crumbles. If you pinch it together, it will actually hold its shape. That's what you want. Stop right there. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Put it on your plastic wrap and form it into a ball with your hands, and then put it in the fridge. All right, so everything's in my plastic wrap. I'm just gonna fold it over and kind of moosh it all together, and then flatten it a little bit into a disc, and then put it in the fridge for about 20 minutes, just to firm it up. It'll make it nice and easy to roll out, and it'll be more likely to hold its shape. All right, pie crust in the fridge. Okay, I'm back. Maybelle took me on a little adventure walk, so it was a little longer than 20 minutes. So I actually set this out on the counter about 10 minutes ago just to soften up a little bit. And we're gonna pre-cook this pie shell because we're going to cook the pie filling on the stove, and then we'll put the meringue on top and we'll put that back in the oven and let it brown up a little bit. So I like to roll my pie crusts out on plastic wrap. Sometimes I'll do it between 2 sheets of plastic wrap. Today I'm going to use a sheet of wax paper just for something different. I'm just going to start from the center and roll out now I'll just work it down into the pie plate. I've got a lot of extra overlap. That's okay. I'm going to tuck it under. So I like to scallop my edges. So I'm just gonna do a quick little scallop around. And then I'm gonna prick the bottom and the sides with a fork all over. I'm gonna bake it for about 10 minutes in the oven, and I've got my oven preheated at 350. Some people like to use pie weights or beans to put in here to keep the crust from puffing up, but I'm not gonna worry about it today. I think it'll be fine. Into the oven. Well, my pie crust is out of the oven. I've got everything ready to make the filling. So first things first, we're gonna take, this is about 3/4 of a cup of sugar. It's actually a heaping 3/4 of a cup, so just under a full cup. Just gonna put that in my saucepan. To that, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of flour and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and just another pinch of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon or a little less. I'm gonna whisk all this together. I'm gonna set this aside. Now before I put that on the heat, I'm going to go ahead and zest my lemons and separate my eggs. So I have my handy dandy egg separator. If you prefer to do them in the shell, go ahead and do whatever is comfortable for you. I prefer to use a separator myself. So we're taking the egg whites. We're going to use those for the meringue on top. And then the egg yolks will be used to thicken the custard part. I'm using 4 eggs. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. It's all right, no harm, no foul. Just gotta get the egg white loosened up. Lego. Lego. You're almost there. You're almost there. There we go. 2 down. 2 to go. Come on, baby. You got this. Ta-da! We're done with that. So my 4 yolks in here, I'm just gonna kind of stir these up a little bit. The egg whites we will beat in a bigger bowl later with a little bit of sugar. So just set those aside. I've got my handy dandy zester. I've got my Meyer lemons that I grew myself. These have really, really thin skins, so you have to be really careful and keep rotating your little lemon as you zest it. We'll zest and then we'll juice, and then we'll take everything to the stove. I've got this on a medium-low heat. So to this I'm adding 1.5 cups of water. Just whisk this in as I go. So I heat this until it gets to a boil. It's nice and thick. I'm gonna go ahead and add, this is my lemon zest and my lemon juice. All right, the cornstarch is starting to do its job. It's starting to thicken up. And then once this thickens up just a little more, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter. And once that gets stirred in, then we're gonna take some of this hot liquid and put it into the egg yolks to temper them so that you don't put them in here cold and they'll seize and curdle and it'll all be bad and it'll ruin your meringue pie. So we temper them first and then we pour the egg yolks back in here. This is what we're looking for. Starting to get gloppy. Throw my butter in, stir this around, let it melt. And so we're keeping this on the heat the whole time. Oh, lovely. Heat the whole time. I'm going to turn the heat down to low so I don't burn this. This is the nice custardy texture we're going for. So I'm going to take a big scoop here, put it in my eggs, temper, take another big scoop, take this and pour it in while whisking. And then we're going to keep going with this until it thickens up a little more. And then we'll remove it from the heat and pour it into our pie shell. All right, perfect. Okay, the custard is all done. So as you can see, my custard is nice and thick now. Just gonna pour it into my pie shell. So when I drop my whisk back there, it went all over everything. Yeah, I did an excellent job of making sure it got all over the front of the stove and down the front of my pants and on my feet. Oh, that's good. Final step. The 4 egg whites we're gonna put into a bowl. I'm gonna get my mixer. We're gonna whip these until they become stiff peaks. And in the meantime, we're gonna add about a 1/4 cup of sugar, a little bit at a time while we're mixing. So the key with mixing egg whites to get them to that stiff peak is to just be patient. It may seem like they're never going to get there, but they will. So just keep on whipping. So if you look and you can see how these will still kind of, they droop a little bit. We're not quite there. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna add just a little bit of vanilla. I also added just a dash of salt to this. I mean, just barely. And I'm gonna add about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. So you have to really shake it to get them to fall out of your beaters. That's what you want. And now for the final step. If I was feeling really ambitious, I would put these egg whites in a piping bag and pipe it into a really pretty design on here, but I'm not really feeling it. I just want to get this in the oven. So we're gonna just plop it on here and then I'll just move them around with my spatula. The only negative thing about meringue pie is you really have to be patient. After you cook it, it really has to cool completely. Even sitting in the refrigerator for a couple of hours is a good idea. I don't know if I have that kind of patience tonight. I really would like some lemon meringue pie. And draw some little swirly cues back and forth. This is going in the oven just 10 minutes, just long enough to kind of brown the top of this and cook those egg whites. And then we're gonna let it cool for a couple hours and then I'll stick it in the fridge and it'll probably be tomorrow before I get to eat it. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, 10 minutes has come and gone. And would you look at this beautiful pie? Would you look at this beautiful pie? Oh, I'm so excited. I just wanna like dig right in, but I will not. I will let it cool and then I will put it in the refrigerator and I will let it get nice and cold and then I will enjoy a piece of pie. So given that it's 7 p.m., it's probably gonna be tomorrow morning for breakfast when I have pie. I like that idea. CSA starts in 5 weeks. If you have not signed up, you still have plenty of time. But I'll be doing videos showing you how to use your share, fun ways to preserve your share, whether it's making some sort of jam or jelly or just chopping it up and freezing it. You can use it later in the season. So yeah, we got that to look forward to starting in June. Okay, well, we're out of here. So, ciao. Hey, don't lick the rug, please.